Fantastic. Thanks very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Wonderful to be here with you today. My name's Andy Jury, and I'm going to be discussing how we at Makuru leverage our enterprise data to get a return on our information. Just by way of context and introduction, for those of you aren't aware of Makuru and what we do, we're a next generation fintech platform for Africa's emerging consumer. So focusing on building and delivering scalable digital financial solutions to serve an emerging consumer segment. Over the course of the last 17 years, we've managed to build up some scale, largely by operating at the intersection of the formal and informal financial ecosystems and looking to take our customers on a journey towards increasing levels of financial inclusion and digitization. And over that time, we initially started with a focus on Southern Africa, but have increased the breadth of our network predominantly across Africa that we've looked to paint orange. We would characterize the financial services landscape in Africa as one that is filled with immense potential, but there are some challenges. It's exceptionally fragmented. It is predominantly informal and almost entirely cash-based if you look at it in terms of the total addressable market in terms of people. And there's very limited infrastructure that bridges this cash to digital divide. And so many people, whilst they recognize that the scenarios in which they find themselves are suboptimal, they are effectively stuck there in terms of how they have to transact. Things are hard to measure. There's deep asymmetries of information. And to really, get your teeth into the opportunity here, there's a lot of pioneering that needs to be done in terms of identifying ways and means to take customers on a journey that enables increasing levels of financial inclusion and digitization over time. As I mentioned, we have positioned ourselves at the intersection of the formal and informal financial worlds, and most of our customers come to us from an informal transacting environment. And really, we've had to place a premium on building feedback loops, being able to monitor, gather data, harvest it, turn it into knowledge and information, and process the insights into action in a manner that we can constantly learn, fold, and evolve our business to move forward. I think the fundamental enabler in terms of being able to assist customers in making a move away from sort of past informal focused ones to the sort of world of opportunity that we have today is about recognizing their role as a customer and treating every potential person who engages with your business as customers, because that's really the unlock in terms of being able to build a relationship with someone over time versus treating them as a series of transactions. And I think the informal world is characterized by being one that requires on transactions that have to be synchronous, over the counter. By their very nature, those are unscalable. They are informal. And the information doesn't leverage beyond the personal relationships generally, although you can daisy chain a series of formal personal relationships, but those are link reliant. Whereas if you treat the person you're engaging with as a customer and you enable them digitally to have access to a broader bouquet of products and services over time, you are able to map that relationship and then refine the provisions that you've entered them to be more appropriate to their circumstances. And so at Makuru, given that we operate in an informal to formal space, there are a lot of institutional voids, and we're operating in an emerging environment. We've had to build our own vertically integrated ecosystem to vend the products and services that we want to deliver to our customer. Those are driven by a range of high-tech, high-touch, digital and physical customer onboarding channels. And so regardless of whether you have a 2G phone or the latest smartphone, regardless of your level of awareness when it comes to financial products or digital products generally, we're able to engage with you where you are in that ecosystem, bring you into our ecosystem by onboarding you digitally, and leveraging the omni-channel payments and distribution infrastructure we have to vend a range of products and services that meet your needs. Most of the customers that have come to us are intra-African migrant diasporas who've embarked on a journey of great sacrifice, moved away from their family in search of economic opportunity, and are looking to send or distribute the vast majority of what they earn home to their loved ones, either internationally cross borders or domestically, and recognizing where our customers are at, appreciating that they've been heretofore structurally excluded from the formal financial environments, and then ensuring that we can harvest the information that's relevant to improve their customer service, and then take them on a journey and provide them with broader financial access has really been key unlocks in building a learning organization, and one that can leverage the information that's at our fingertips. If we think about ways in which we are learning, building up knowledge pools, ensuring that we convert our information to actionable insights, we think about it in 3 pillars. First and foremost is, how do we serve the customer's needs? Understanding what their needs and wants are, and how best our products and services can be tailored, framed, and positioned to address those. Alongside that is the fundamentals of trading the business, ensuring that it is scalable, that our processes, our technology, and our people are modular enough to be able to address new opportunities at limited marginal cost, and how we can continue to refine the go-to-market proposition. And then, alongside that, in the sort of context of being a regulated financial services industry player, how do we manage our business within the regulatory frameworks that are applicable to us, and take a risk-adjusted approach to key opportunities, constructs, and customer engagement. And I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just unpacking each of these. If we're focusing on serving the customer needs, this really is the core of our business. It's the means by which we've been able to scale to serve 8 million customers. And it's about, small but incremental changes on a micro level in terms of how we engage with the customer, which services we provide to them, what channels we use to engage them, how do we incentivize them to, move towards a greater degree of self-help channels, which are both incrementally more valuable to a customer, but also come at a lower cost to serve to us. How do we, at a macro level, look at trends in broader, with a broader lens in terms of behavior in the market, behavior beyond just our engagement with our customers. And it's being able to constantly take this information, process it, and learn from it, that we're able to be flexible enough to stay ahead of the game in terms of how we engage with our customers. We were one of the first financial services products in Africa to adopt WhatsApp as a transactional platform about 2 years ago, and it's gone from strength to strength as we recognize the segue from predominantly 2G-led engagement via USSD to entry-level smartphones, many of them that have WhatsApp zero rated, and the fact that is ubiquitously part of our customers' everyday lives has been transformational. 1 minute they can be chatting to a friend, and the next minute they can be sending money to them. Equally so, the dislocation that all of us faced last year when the hard lockdown first hit in South Africa, you could either see that as a challenge or an opportunity. And we did something different. We realized that we had vast reservoirs of data that weren't easily accessible to many other organizations. And we were able to mine that data, partner with aid organizations to highlight, exceptionally vulnerable customers of ours, but people in the ecosystems generally who were desperately in need of support through a time in which their ability to earn a wage was acutely impinged, and they themselves, were generally at the bottom of the pyramid. We've, been able to build new business lines by recognizing trends both within how our customers are engaging with ourselves and the broader ecosystems more generally, and that is manifested in a broader bouquet of payment use cases beyond just money transfers over time, as we recognize that the infrastructure that we built lends itself very neatly to those and the sort of network effects that we bring that everybody can benefit over time. And that also, lends itself in terms of new product developments and things that are coming down the line, or cross-selling opportunities with customers. Fundamentally, we pride ourselves on knowing who our customers are. We've been able to build up the rich reservoir of information on their behaviors, their habits, their demographics, and then can map patterns in terms of how those change over time. At Makuru, our core transacting customers, typically 25 to 40 years old, is generally sending money home to their loved ones in a sort of narrow bouquet of 3 to 4 people. Has typically sends 60 to 70% of what they earn 2 to 3 times a month, and we can understand that, appreciate when people deviate both positively and negatively, and adjust the way in which we engage with them accordingly. This is just an example of the simplicity of how you can use WhatsApp to send money. It really is no more complicated than engaging with our chat channel. And once you've been set up and designed as a customer, using the sequential engagement that WhatsApp lends itself to very quickly perform ever increasingly easy financial transactions. Shifting to trading the business, we have been fortunate enough that circumstances dictated that we had to create a vertically integrated environment in the first instance, that there weren't off-the-shelf products from a technological perspective that we could deploy when we started out, and we've had to build the in-house capabilities to effectively cover what we call the first and last mile in any payment use case, soup to nuts. But what this has done is it's enabled us to design these process flows and the technological underpins that support them to be able to collect and harvest data at various steps along the process flow, which means that, given that we digitize every customer relationship, every customer has a digital record when they join with us, we can map lifetime behaviors over time. We can map deviations in those behaviors. We can spot potential triggers for customers that have a likelihood of churn. We can recognize when they've got to a point in their financial services ecosystem where customers like themselves then benefit from a broader plethora of other products. We're able to manage our decentralized teams on the ground who are engaging with customers where they are armed with little more than orange clothing and an Android device with our app on, and that's an exceptionally rich tool in terms of mapping not only their behaviors but behaviors of customers. I'll give you a demonstration in the slide in terms of how we look at things spatially in terms of GIS maps and what we can glean from that in terms of refining the business. And equally so, given the cyclical nature of our business, we are able to track load on our system and our infrastructure and scale up either servers to manage increased loads on things like the 24th of December, or to highlight opportunities where we can use the white space in our infrastructure in the middle of the month when our remittance flows are lower and the infrastructure lends itself to other application for other use cases. This is just an example of some of the tools we use in terms of a money transfer instance where we are mapping first and last mile cash in and cash out nodes, whilst all of our products are digital. The bridge between the cash and digital divide is largely enabled by being able to allow people to pay for settled transactions in cash if they choose to, and then taking them on a path where we demonstrate the benefits of increased levels of digitization over time. On the left-hand side, you've got pay-in nodes in South Africa, where the different colors represent different pathways, but we can use this to address intensities in terms of concentration risk on one particular type of partner. We can look at opportunities in terms of where we could increase penetration into markets. We can look at changes over time to see whether there are changes in our behavior. We can map these by corridors, and in so doing, we've been able to get a strong representation of where Malawians might live, an example, in South Africa versus where Congolese people or Mozambique people would, and then we're able to deploy our teams with strengths in those particular vernaculars, all with a view towards improving and enriching the experience that our customers have in terms of the service we will deliver to them. And on the right-hand side, a similar example of payout nodes in Malawi, where we can look at the intensity in terms of the cash out distribution points and refine the number of nodes we have there, the float management in terms of where we need cash and liquidity, and constantly address these feedback loops and take them into account. And finally, if we're thinking about the overall environment, we are a regulated entity. Given that we enable financial services to take place, there is a degree of being able to manage the risk-based anti-money laundering, anti-financial crime frameworks. And we have the benefit of 17 years of transactional history in norms in our databases in a portion of the market that, because it has previously been largely informal and is to a degree structurally excluded from other formal channels, it's a rich source of data that nobody has. And so not only are we able to develop engagements with customers in the same way that most financial institutions do when you are introduced or they initially apply to be part of your environment, but we're also able to track behavior against norms in terms of how they utilize our tools over time, such that we can get early warning signals if they're are potential red flags that throw themselves out. We get exception reporting on both in the up and the downside, and are able to use this by and large to ensure that we can develop broader, better services for the 99.9% who are generally using us to improve the lives of themselves and their mothers, and I suppose to a degree constrain risks to the system. And so by utilizing this data, by having the approach where we're looking at the balancing act of customer service, the risk that we're prepared to take and the associated revenue with that, we are able to stratify our segment of the market and take customers on a journey where initial engagements are pretty simple, but the more sophisticated or the greater the degree of intensity of transactions you want to send, the more we need to know about you, and the more we process and monitor the behavior in terms of how you engage and utilize our system, not dissimilar to any other financial services ecosystem.
Andy, I'm going to interrupt you there, just for the interest of time. Probably have like a few seconds left until I have to enter the next speaker.
Fantastic. This is my very last slide. Really, if we bring it all together, we are focused on taking our customers on a journey, listening to what their needs, wants are, where their points of frictions are, making sure that the four cornerstones of our proposition, affordability, convenience, speed, trust, and security, resonate with them where they are, and that we can assist them in walking the path towards greater degrees of digitization. And I will bring it to a close there.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Very interesting presentation there from Andy Jury, the Group CEO of Makuru, talking to us about leveraging enterprise data and getting a return on information.